All right, Shalom. It's your brother Quashab coming back at you another lesson. And before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shab, Ba'ashim Chakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone, who taught me the truth, grew well, and peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the hopefully elect, as well as those that believe in the gospel and may you endure unto the end, the Lord willing. All right, and I'm just getting into a quick hit. I'm gonna just let this guy do most of the talking. All right, basically going into how the money is ultimately being programmed, all right before our eyes. As we've seen this week, not this week, but last week with, the whole announcements with the digital IDs and this, that, and the third, because this thing is actually moving fast. But in this lesson, Lord will, you go watch this on your own. I'll leave it in the description box, but it's a lot of key points that I want to make about, these devils bringing forth that M.O.T.B. All right, the whole system, the whole nine. All right, and it's on, man. All right, it's on. But I'll let this guy do a lot of speaking. I got maybe a precept or two that I'll bring out. So, Lord willing, to be edifying. All right, as well as informative. All right, so for those who don't understand or don't know how this thing can operate or how it can go, all right, you'll be able to see. All right, after this, okay. But like I said, I'm gonna skip around a little bit, and you can watch the whole thing on your own time. I just want to get some of the relevant points that he actually made, man. All right.
Is really convenient. I've lost my ID so many times before, it'd be nice just to have it on my phone. A programmable money could lower the risk of fraud. That's also nice. And cameras can make neighborhoods safer. These are all genuinely true and good reasons, but here's the thing. They're all being built together at the same time by connected institutions that'll be managed by a system that has never existed before. And it's the combination of them that allows for the centralization of power in a way that was never possible in human history. Now, here's something that's going to blow your mind. One of the main companies that's going to be building the surveillance and data infrastructure for this system is called Palantir. You've probably heard of it.
Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging 22% after the company cited a boom in demand for its AI software from the U.S. government.
We're doing it. We're doing it, and I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
There's been a lot of videos about this company, and people that invested in this stock a couple years ago made a lot of money. But what does Palantir actually do? Palantir is a data analytics company founded by Peter Thiel, and it works mostly with governments, intelligence agencies, and militaries around the world. Now, maybe you knew that, but what you might not have known.
All right, and if you didn't have to be tracked, traced, or monitored, why would they use the government and different military agencies around the world, man? All right, showing you that this is all going to be on one big cloud. All right, all of your data, all right, all of your information is going to be on one server, man, and that's where, as it goes into the, I believe it's Grapho, all right? Let's do this. Let's get these words. All right, now this is the word. All right, we're going to go into the root words from this word mark in Revelation 13 and 16. All right. So the first one is charagma. All right. So if you don't go into the root word, charag is what the state, the palisade, in which that is going to hold the C hip, and that to implant it in you is like this, the syringe or whatnot. All right, but then when you go into grapho, all right, this is the information part of it. All right, as it says.
Strong's G 1125. Grapho.
All right, it says to write with reference to the form of the letters. All right, to write with reference to the contents of the writing. All right, to express in written characters. So if why is this word talking about writing? All right, why is it talking about reference to the contents of writing? Why is it talking about information? Okay. Why? Because these things are going to be the records. Okay, when you jump down to the second definition, all right, it says to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, record. You see? So all of your bank information, all right, all of your health information, right, your blood type, you know, everything is going to be written down, recorded, all right, and stored on these devices, man. You see, so the point to where you just go everywhere you go, you just scan, right? Scan and go. You know, and there's something else, you know, you can look up. It's called a WISE server, all right? It goes into, you know, how they're actually going to store the information and these different things on here. All right, but let me go back to the video, and I'm gonna jump up to about this mark right here. With this bullshit.
Is to look at each one of them separately, and then I want to show you how they all connect. The first pillar is programmable money, which they say is needed in a world where AI will replace all the jobs. The second pillar is a global digital identity system. And the third pillar is the cameras that are going to watch everything we do. Now, if we fast forward to today, 2026, all three of these pillars are either already built or they're in the process. So let me explain the first part of this story, which is money. And speaking of money, our digital identity and our data is being collected and sold. And since I'm on YouTube, I get a lot of random phone calls and emails. And that's because right now there are hundreds of companies called data brokers that are legally collecting our personal information, like our names, our home address, phone number, and even our relatives, and selling it to anyone with a credit card. And that's why this segment is sponsored by Delete Me. I've personally been a member since April 2024, 14 hours of it's not some outsourced third party. It'll help protect you from the risk off. Thank you, the number. It has no rules attached to it. You can spend it on whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, for the most part. You can give it to whoever you want as well.
You know, I skipped it, but you know, he's talking about basically the regular money now that's in your account, right? You can take it out, you know, if you spend a lump sum of it, you know, the bank might call you, you know, to verify. You may have to answer a question or two, excuse me, you know. But for the most part, the money that we have in our accounts now, all right, we basically, you know, can use it how we want, right? But that's not going to be so, all right, in the system to come, all right, or what they're trying to implicate, okay?
And the bank might ask questions if you move a bit into the currency itself. So imagine you get a paycheck and it's only valid for a certain amount of time before it expires. Or it can only be spent within your state. Or it can't be used to buy certain things, maybe a certain cryptocurrency, or meat because of a carbon policy, or energy is just too expensive. Now, I'm not saying that these specific rules are coming tomorrow. I'm just saying that the technology to do all of this already exists, and the legal framework to deploy it is being built right now. And the United States,
right, and that's what we are witnessing, okay? The legal framework for these things to be deployed, all right? Meaning for these things to actually start and take place, all right? All these quote-unquote hypotheticals, you know? All of these things that, you know, people say, oh, that's not going to happen. Well, these things are, the framework is being deployed. It's not being laid out, right? Because it's no longer, you know, it's very minuscule things that they need to set up, right? As far as framework wise, but everything has been already set up, man. You see?
for example, the Genius Act was passed in 2025. That law created the official regulatory framework for stablecoins, aka digital dollars issued on a blockchain.
Right.
Now, Catherine,
and people may have seemed to forgot about that, right? I did a lesson on that, you know, when it first came out, you know, brothers was on it, you know, with that whole stablecoin thing, right? But that framework has already been laid out. The digital dollars have already been laid out, man. So all they have to do is basically put the system online, right? That's all they have to do is put the system online, okay? And you're gonna watch the reality of things change overnight, man. You know.
Fitz points out that Buried inside the Genius Act is a requirement that all stablecoin issuers must connect to a Treasury Department pipeline.
You see that? I'll pause it so you can read it. Like I said, I'm gonna drop this in the description box or in the comment section, but it says guiding and establishing a national innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act mandates that permitted payment stablecoin issuers maintain strict compliance programs approved by or consistent with U.S. Department of Treasury regulations, particularly for anti-money laundering and sanctions, right? So years back, people in the world used to say, oh, cash is king, right? It ain't gonna be no more. You have money that they don't know about, or getting illegal money, or getting money illegally, all of these things are gonna be a former thing, man, So get ready to be on a fixed programmable income, right? And like I said, they're gonna do these things before they implement the M.O.T.B, but then they're just gonna go ahead and implement it totally, you see?
One that applies KYC, know your customer rules, and anti-money laundering rules, and sanctions enforcement. And once this connection exists, it can be integrated with anything, including a social credit system. What's a social credit system, right? A social credit system is basically a score that gets assigned to you based on your behavior.
Right, and I went into that countless times. I want that this video of Larry Ellison play.
Because we're constantly recording and reporting everything.
They want you, quote, on your best behavior.
Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
Now, the stablecoin companies say that they would never do this, but the infrastructure to do this is already technically possible. Now, at the same time, in Europe, Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Commission, said, and this is a direct quote, "It is essential to swiftly adopt the regulation on the establishment of the digital euro."
It is thus essential to swiftly adopt the regulation on the establishment of the digital euro.
And all of this is sort of framed as innovation, right? As a necessity for the changing world order. Now, beyond this ability to program money, there's actually another reason why central planners want to do this. And the theory behind why they want to do this is to be able to offload their debt onto the rest of the world. And that's because in 2026, the United States government is running a deficit that is completely unsustainable.
That's pretty much it. All right, he goes into, some other things. Like I said, he made a lot of good points. All right, a lot of things. You watch that lesson, you take into consideration, man. Not a lesson, but the information or whatnot, right? And you have these people like this in place. The Lord put these people like this in place to break these things down, all right, for the men of the Lord, all right, ultimately, so that we can, expound on these things and warn the flock, man, But that's that's pretty much it for this. Like I said, I'll leave the link to the lesson or whatever in here for so brothers can definitely check it out on their own. There's a lot of valuable information, in here, like I said, so we're going to end it off in Revelation 13 and verse 16. It says, "And he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark." All right, we went into that word mark. Excuse me. Which is karakma, all right, which means, basically something that's going to be implanted under the skin, all right? And what's the karaks? Is the instrument or the syringe that's going to be used for this thing to be implemented in the skin, all right? It says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell. So if the money is programmed, all right, if you have a social credit score, right, this is how you aren't going to be able to buy or sell. If your score is too low, right, your money is already programmed. It ain't like you're going to be able to use cash to go and purchase goods. No, you're going to have to confine with the ways of that system, man, And we're going to be subject to it as well, all right? But Lord willing, those that's sincere, those that believe on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you know, will be covered. Lord willing, we be a part of that righteous number, man. You know? It says, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You see? So it ain't going, you know, buying and selling is a essential thing in life, man. All right? Water. It speaks about that in the book of Sirach, man. You know? But if you can't buy or sell, how are you going to survive in this society? You see? But actually, we could go to Revelation 3. You know, because some people say, oh, you know, it's not going to happen to everybody. Oh, they're not going to do that here in the U.S. Oh, just wait, right? It says, because Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. You see? So we're going to get this word temptation, well, not temptation, world, all right? They say, oh, God, you know, Yahushua died and he died for everybody, all right? When you go into John 3:16, that word world is cosmos, which means an orderly arrangement, all right? Basically, it's speaking of a particular, something in particular, all right? If the Lord died for everybody, you know, in John 3:16, the word would be oikoumene, okay? G3625, which says the inhabited earth, right? The universe, the world, the whole inhabited earth, the world. You see? It doesn't say that, right? But it says that for what? This hour of temptation, this hour where, you know, I'll say, you know, everybody, man, you know, 95%, 90% of people, you know, are going to be tried with this thing, you know, with this M.O.T.B, right? And there's going to be a lot that rebels, going to be a lot that take it, you know. But like the apostles say, this devil got to get some of his, he's going to get a good bit of people, man, you know. He going to get a good bit. But hey, Lord will, he don't get us, you know. May Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai keep the spirit on us to endure, all right, and not take it, man, you know. But that's pretty much the point. That's all I had. As far as scripture-wise, I really just wanted to bring out the info, man, and, you know, just show how close this thing is. All right, so, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, man. Until next time, I say shalom.